What is going on? Welcome back to Trending Stock. Today we're going to talk to you about SoFi. I want to go over some of the current data points, once again what really influenced it, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up, and with that, let's get right to it. So when it came down to SoFi and why it went down, I feel like the market is so much more emotional than my damn kids. It's absolutely insane. But SoFi did go down 1.21% based off of no news, just the fact that now people, analysts are more so indicating that Powell this upcoming Friday will try to avoid talking about monetary policy. That was clearly the big assumption, that he was going to talk about that, how 50 basis points was going to be on the table. Honestly, I don't even know how the hell half this pops up. Just analysts seem to be running their mouth on a lot of expectations, and that is one of the biggest driving factors, higher, lower, all over the place. So it would be funny to be Powell, just sit back and be like, what the fuck is going on in this market? What are they assuming I'm saying? It's complete craziness. But regardless, like I said, no actual news, just it all comes down to interest rates, and it's kind of crazy. So it kind of goes to show exactly how important this upcoming September 18th meeting is. Right now, there is a 67.5% likelihood of a 25 basis point cut, 32.5% likelihood of a 50 basis point cut. You had a lot of somewhat manipulation happening with SoFi. So you did have shorts returning around 2.18 million shares. So how I analyze this, by them returning, it kind of doesn't really validate today's red day. So more of an overreaction. That's a very positive thing. I'm sure some of you might be wondering, well, if they returned 2.18 million shares, how did it close so much red? Because in case you guys don't know, by shorts returning, that does add buying pressure. And to be fully honest, I have no idea why I stopped giving you guys this update, but these are all the transactions occurring on the dark pool. So dark pool was very, very active today. And again, my apologies on not bringing this up. Typically, I always like to give you guys this. So this is the secondary market as well as the dark pool. So dark pool essentially does not influence the price. So this is where market makers shorts go hand in hand. When shorts are returning some shares, which again adds buying pressure, they can just divert it to the dark pool where it doesn't really influence the price. So essentially shorts can return with kind of no upward momentum happening in the stock price. Very, very messed up stuff, because if you do see on the secondary market, you had a lot of selling that was happening, especially the first around 30 minutes of the trading day, which kind of caused all of this right here. So very interesting scenario. When it comes down to options though, 3.33 million in calls, 1.66 million in puts. So a good amount was getting into SoFi through options, not in comparison to the last several trading days, rather low though, but 50% of all the options being done today were bearish. And of the call options that were purchased, you do see a consensus for it to be roughly between that 750 or in excess of 8, so kind of within that range. And then looking at puts, you do see now consensus for it to be sub $7. So we're on a very strong kind of a pivot point right now. I'm going to talk about what I mean for that in a second, but this is the current open interest on the calls. Currently 31,000 at that 7. So like I said, first two trading days, like Monday and Tuesday, usually does go up by like 40% each of those days. So that completely blew up like crazy. At the same time, you also do have now 27,000 at that 750. So a secondary wall, and that is why it did bounce off of that general area of 752, because no doubtably just market makers and just entities were wanting to kind of keep it lower. So it's SoFi is a good stock. I really do like it, and that's why I still cover it, why I still hold it. But it's kind of comical, the manipulation time and time again. But still, beside the point, this is kind of the overview of the kind of the strong walls that you need to take note of. That will be a little bit more relevant to this coming Friday. So we already do know if SoFi is remotely close to these strike prices, shorts will be a little bit more active. So something to kind of keep in mind. Aside from that though, you do have FOMC meeting minutes coming out tomorrow, initial jobless claims coming out on Thursday, and then now Powell on Friday, all of which is going to cause a lot of volatility in the broader market. So we'll just have to wait and see what does happen. But right now, with it closing at 737, it is trading between this pivot and this R1. I'm looking at the one-day chart on a side note. So it bounced off of this general area of 725, so that pivot point. On the flip side, you have 7.97, and moving over to the 4-hour, you do have this right here, so $7.46 as being the next strong kind of resistance levels. So just take note of all of that, because hopefully with good FOMC meeting minutes tomorrow, which I don't anticipate, but if they are positive, then yeah, you could see a very nice kind of push higher for SoFi to maybe retest that $7.50 range. But as of right now on the actual chart, today was a little bit more consolidation, higher percentile still. Stochastic, you do see it at 62. So if it does continue on the status quo and kind of sticking to how it is, you are going to see it considered rather overbought, and we've already seen that happen in the past. So the first sign of weakness, whether it's specific to SoFi or the broader market, you could see a little bit more of a retracement. And that's why I said on my video over this last weekend, basically anticipate a lot of volatility in either direction. So it's kind of going to be a very crazy week regardless. But as of right now, though, you do see a nice bullish deviation, and number of retail investors were getting out today. So yeah, it's a unique circumstance. Again, if you do believe in SoFi bigger picture, take advantage of these discounted prices, but anything could happen. This is the wild, wild west, especially this week. And a lot of that, like I said, is going to come down to monetary policy, what is going to happen with interest rates. What did happen today though, which is kind of weird, it did go from roughly I think 22 to now 32% for a 50 basis point cut. And for the November 7th, not much has changed for this. So even if we do have a 25 on the September 18th meeting, then a 25 on the November 7th, I think the market still will really appreciate that and still propel the market higher. So let me know your thoughts. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. And what is your thoughts on shorts returning somewhat, I guess, under the radar, if that kind of makes sense, through the dark pool? And once again, my apologies on not bringing this up. I used to always bring this up time and time again, then I guess I just somehow closed the tab and I never really opened it again. My apologies. But yeah, going forward, I'll bring up dark pool stuff. And if you guys have any questions about anything that I do bring up and want me to kind of expand a little bit more, feel free to leave a comment or a question in the description below. With all that said though, appreciate all of you watching.